I might have gone a little too far this time.
Oh dear God, what have I done? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Nikhil with Shelf-Esteem. I'm a composer, now also a booktuber. You can find my music in book adaptations like The Wheel of Time, His Dark Materials, the official companion album for Brent Week's Lightbringer, the Edan Trilogy main theme for Philip Chase's trilogy, and many more. It is book haul time, my friends, and it is the last book haul of 2025 because I am going to institute a book buying ban for myself in the first part of 2026 because this is ridiculous. I couldn't stop. But you know, it comes down to a few things. I don't get all my books at the store at retail price. I find a lot of them at library book sales for $1. And when you find hardcovers in immaculate condition for $1, how can you say no, right? At least that's what I tell myself. My wife somehow doesn't mind having all these bookshelves all over the place, so I take it as a sign that it's time to collect more books. So if you like this kind of video, please like and subscribe, watch it till the end, share it with a friend, all free ways you can help support what I'm doing here, and let's jump on in because we got a doozy of books to look to. Let's start with the first one, which is right on my desk here, and this one I've talked about several times in a couple other videos because I read it all the way through in about a week, and that is Christopher Rocchio's Shadows Upon Time, the final book in his Sun Eater series. Loved it. Phenomenal book. Very chunky. It's sitting at 900 pages. The artwork is incredible, as Christopher Rocchio's Sun Eater books always are. Very consistently so. And the pages within, fantastic. Great read. If you haven't checked out the Sun Eater, I promise you, you will enjoy it. Going down the list, let's go to some historical fiction, shall we? So, I got a couple of these books I found, again, at $1 sale. The paperbacks were 50 cents and the hardcovers were $1. So again, like, how could I say no to that, right? This particular one is by an author named Edward Rutherford. I haven't read any Edward Rutherford, but you wouldn't know it from my bookshelf because I have like 6 Edward Rutherford books there. I love James Michener. He writes a similar kind of historical fiction where it's like, you know, a geographical location, finding out the history of that particular location from its inception to, you know, present day. This one is called Sarum, and it is about the making of Stonehenge. Now, I read the Ken Follett Stonehenge book, so I'm excited to see how this compares. Always fun to read different authors' takes on things. The second book I got a chance to get, this one actually I got at a store called the Iliad in North Hollywood here in LA. Wonderful independent used bookstore, and this one was, I believe, only a couple bucks, $2.95. And this is Con Iggulden's War of the Roses. Really nice condition for this hardcover. Apparently it is about, it's a first book in a historical series about two families who plunged England into a devastating decades-long civil war. I love stuff about like England and you know, European countries, and just kind of finding out more about their history through historical fiction. It's really fun. And I feel like historical fiction is very adjacent to fantasy. It's just fantasy without the magic, right? At least that's how I think of it. So this is another one. Staying on the historical fiction train, another author I have heard a lot about from Brian Lee Durfee's channel. Fantastic channel I'm linking below if you haven't checked it out. He is probably the most well-read guy I've ever seen on Booktube. He reads like hundreds of books a year. He reads like 20 books a month. It's insane. But he has always recommended Stephen Saylor, and he wrote a book called Roma. So I think it's about the history of Rome. Maybe, yeah, from its mythic beginnings as a campsite along a trade route to its emergence as the center of an extensive, powerful empire. That is really cool. So I'm very excited to actually read about this and see about the Roman Empire's ascent. That would be really neat. So that's the other one. Sometimes I love going to book boxes because I love putting books in there as I finish reading if I don't want to hold them, you know, because as you could tell, I'm already pretty stacked here in this apartment. And I love to take some books in return. So, you know, nice give and take. And there's a few in my neighborhood. I was going for a run the other day and I came out with two And is called Outlive: The Science and Art of Longevity. I've always been fascinated by the new science surrounding this. Thought it would be an interesting read. The other one is called, it's completely different, The Power of the Dog by Don Winslow. Now, I've heard this is the first in a series about a cartel and kind of learning more about the Mexican cartels, I believe. And it's supposed to be in the POV of a DEA agent. So it seems, crime fiction, but people say that if you want to learn more about the cartels and the gritty business surrounding that, it could be an interesting read. So excited to check it out at some point. Then, I was, again, in that same book box, I found this Haruki Murakami book, another author which I haven't read any of, and you probably wouldn't know looking in my bookshelf because I have several of his works as well. It's time I actually read what I get, right? This one is called The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. I know nothing about this, but I definitely want to read it because I've heard great things about Murakami. I get the feeling I'll like him, and if I don't like it for any particular reason, there's always a book box to donate it to, so that is always fun. So excited to check it out at some point. Don't know when that will happen. I'm going to read my first Murakami actually next year. And next year being a month from now as of this taping. So yeah, I don't know where this will land for me, but we'll see where it kind of ends up leading. The next two. Oh, so Heidi, who's a friend of the channel, if you're watching this, you will be very happy to see what just happened, because I just had dinner with a friend of mine who's leaving to move to the UK, Robin, and he gifted me his copies of Simon R. Green's Deathstalker. Here's two books. This one is called Deathstalker, and this one is called Deathstalker Rebellion. I remember Heidi mentioned, real high praise on this, and I'd heard it from a couple other people. Again, Universe provides, like I noticed this, is sometimes you hear things from multiple people, sometimes suddenly you see it out in the wild, and in this case, it was a gift from a friend. So Robin, thank you so much for this wonderful gift. Can't wait to get to these. I'll probably read the first one, I think, in 2026, because my curiosity is too peaked at this point. The next one is, so I have one of the sequels to 2001 Space Odyssey, and I found another sequel for $1 at the library book sale. This one is lacking a cover, but that's okay, because, if you judge a book by its cover, but you don't have a cover, then maybe you could judge the book by its contents. So this one is 2061 Odyssey 3 by Arthur C. Clarke. So again, I really want to read these because I loved Childhood's End, which I read recently, and I thought it was one of the best science fiction books standalones I've ever read. I'm like, I got to read more Arthur C. Clarke. 2001 is probably one of my favorite movies of all time, the Stanley Kubrick adaptation from 1968. So definitely want to see the source material here. Let's move on to some more science fiction. I'm just going to open this up here on camera. I decided, I really want to read Star Wars Extended Universe. Star Wars Legends, as the books are called. And I found out that from a lot of you who have really been kind to give me some good recommendations, mentioned how good the Thrawn trilogy is. So I ended up getting this from Barnes & Noble, I think. And it just arrived a couple days ago. And this is 3 books here. We got Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and The Last Command. So, super cool. Super cool. I'll unwrap this real quick so you can see what it looks like, if I can get this off without... Let me see. There we go. So we got... Just so you could see the covers here. Heir to the Empire. I love these classic covers. Really cool. Then we have Dark Force Rising. And then we have The Last Command. So apparently Thrawn, from what I understand, is probably one of the more endearing Star Wars villains. People say he's very cold, calculated, and he rivals Darth Vader in terms of iconic. So... that's a high praise if I've ever heard it. So definitely going to check these out at some point. Definitely going to read the first one in 2026 as well. So let's move on to some Ken Follett, because I ended up finding quite a few Ken Follett books, my friend. And got some here for you. Actually, a couple of these were 50 cents, and then I think three of these were 50 cents at the library book sale, and then one was $1. So let's go over these real quick. This one is called Night Over Water. I don't know anything about this book at all, but I've heard, and any Ken Follett I've read, I've enjoyed. So I definitely want to complete my Ken Follett collection because I'm going to read it all. After Century Trilogy, the first 2 books, and this Pillars of the Earth that I read, I'm in. That's it. Oh, and I read Eye of the Needle as well, which was fantastic. So here is Code to Zero. Code to Zero. This one is called The Third Twin, about triplets, I think, or something. Don't know, but it'll be interesting to find out. And this one is a World War II novel called Jack Dawes. I don't know anything about it, but immaculate, mint condition hardcover for $1. Can't go wrong. Support your local libraries, my friends. I'm telling you, it is a gold mine. Couple ones that might not be as interesting to you, but I will just give you a little backstory because I find it kind of cool and I want to share it with you. These ones. So I always love, I work in the music industry. I work in film and TV. I'm a composer for book adaptations, but I always love to keep a track of what's going on in the music industry because I think it's very interesting. The music industry, as film and TV, has been changing quite a bit over the last few years. I think it's about to change a whole lot more. And I found this one by Ari Herstand, How to Make It in the New Music Business. This is the 3rd edition, so it's one of the newer editions. And sometimes when you look at updated ones, it's nice to have a reference guide if you want to peruse through. So this one I found, again, in a book box. So I'm very grateful to the book box gods for providing. And I had gotten the 1st edition of this one, which essentially reads like a law textbook. It's all you need to know about the music business. It's a revised and updated version. It's by Donald Passman, who's like the #1 entertainment lawyer who specializes in music. So I had read the 1st edition. This is the 11th edition. So it's really cool because it's a nice reference guide of clauses and all that really interesting stuff that musicians love to just like read in their free time, right? So this will be a nice little handy desk reference for me. We are back to historical fiction, my friends. And we are also back to Edward Rutherford, another author that I need to really read some of. This one is called Paris. So all about the history of France and Paris. Really cool. So I love geographical location-based historical fiction. So this is going to be fun. We're not done yet, folks. So I got a couple interesting ones to show you, though. I think you might enjoy this. Oh God! All right. Okay, I'm ready for you. I'm gonna leave this one last because this has a special story attached to it. But as I mentioned to you all, I love James Michener, and I found this one, which was "The World Is My Home," a memoir. James A. Michener. This one I got for $1 at that Iliad bookshop that I told you about. Absolutely pristine hardcover here. And I would love to learn about the man, and I'm sure he led a fascinating life, having researched so well all these different locations around the world, which he bases his historical fiction on. And from reading Alaska, I could tell he's very much a meticulous researcher. So, really cool. Okay, we got a couple more here. I swear. Okay, so this was interesting. So bookoutlet.com, which I'm also linking below in case you haven't checked it out. But they had a sale where it was like $5.99 for hardcovers and even less for some of these paperbacks. So I found a few books, and that was the one that I was waiting for. That's why this video got a little bit delayed. But we got another Ken Follett book, my friends. This one is called Whiteout. I know absolutely nothing about this except that it's like a deadly virus unleashed or something. That's all I know about this one. Then we got... I'm a Stephen King completionist, so I had to get this. I don't know how good it is, but I have heard it has some Dark Tower tie-ins. This is the entire Gwendy's Button Box trilogy. There's the Gwendy's Button Box, Gwendy's Magic Feather, and Gwendy's Final Task. He wrote this with Richard Chismar. I've heard people didn't really like it that much, but again, I'm a completionist. I will read everything Stephen King related. It's my goal in life. So this is 3 books in one. Not bad. This one, of course, I have to, because as anybody who knows this channel knows, I've been reading and loving Malazan Book of the Fallen. I haven't even gotten halfway through that series, but I know I'm going to read everything that Steven Erikson and Ian Esselmont write. And that is, with no exception, this beautiful copy of Book 1 of the Witness Trilogy by Steven Erikson, The God Is Not Willing. Supposedly a sequel to Malazan Book of the Fallen. So I have this ready as soon as I finish The Crippled God. So that will be a fun little foray. And I found this beautiful Ian Esselmont story from a novel of the Malazan Empire, A Tale of the Paths to Ascendancy. This one is called Forge of the High Mage. I love collecting books and reading them, and this is no exception. So I'm excited to check this one out. All right, I promised you guys an interesting story, and so you got it. This last one I want to show you. I was looking on eBay, and I told you about James Michener, love it. I have been looking for this book called The Source, which basically is the history of Jerusalem. I've heard it's one of his better works, and I was on eBay and looking around, and I found an original first edition from 1965 of James Michener's The Source. Usually, this goes for hundreds of dollars, and I somehow got it for $13.95, including shipping. Look at that. Beautiful condition for 1965 as well. Really, really awesome. So, I'm going to be reading this and taking good care of it. I might even put it on display and read it on Kindle. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but it just seems like such a... I don't know if this makes sense, but sometimes when you read a book that is used and has a history behind it, I mean, this is 60 years old now. You can feel the history imbued in the pages. I don't know if that sounds corny to you, but I really feel that. Like, you feel like, oh, this was well loved. This was used by someone. Someone got something out of this, and it was passed from hand to hand, and it made its way to you. So I'm very excited to check this out. Have you all got any books in your own book hauls? Did you all get anything during Black Friday? Let me know in the comments. I would love to know kind of what you got going on. I always love to use this as a dialogue, right? We get to chat in the Discord, in the comments, and it's always a blast. So please don't be shy. Come say hi. Like and subscribe. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you for supporting my book buying addiction, as I always like to do for you. It's a two-way street. I'm Nick Hill with Shelf-Esteem. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And I will see you on the next video. Take care.